Hey, morning. Hey guys. So Saturday morning. Good to see you guys. I'm just getting this in front of me here. I'm gonna need my gi in a moment. I'm going to get that set. YouTube is going. Facebook is going. We are good. Double check that that's true. Is that true? That's true. Okay, YouTube. Nice. YouTube is going. Facebook is going. I'm gonna give it, a minute. I know people are finishing up yoga, perhaps with Katie, which was taking place until just about now. I'm trying to get this to not a. All right, cool. I'm gonna give it a moment or two for you guys to get in. And today we're gonna be talking about. Hey, Jay Watson. I can hear you. Thank you. Today we're going to be talking about bottom of closed guard fundamentals. Earlier this week, on Tuesday, we talked about Kimura bump sweep guillotine. On Thursday, we talked about armbar omoplata triangle. And today we're going to talk about the other, in my mind, fundamental series, and that is using the gi for chokes and using the gi chokes. This is set up for the scissor sweep. I think this little cluster of gi chokes and the scissor sweep go together beautifully. I'll show you them today, and I'll show you why I think that that's true. Okay, so I'm going to jump right in. Again, I'm going to use my grappling dummy, which is just a gi. That's just a gi. And if you have a gi nearby or not nearby, I'd recommend you go get your gi. Go get your gi. Okay. So I'm dressed no gi, but we're going to use the opponent's lapels against them to choke them. But you can do this. You can practice this just with a gi. So I'm encouraging you to go grab your gi. And now I'm stretching for time, so you have time to get your gi, and for the one or two more people to show up here. Okay. But let's jump in. I'm just putting the gi, arms over my legs, body inside my legs. And if you drape the arms over your knees, over your shins, which I guess is more of a spider guard. But if you set yourself up this way, you can practice these chokes perfectly well with no fancy grappling dummy, no ugly grappling dummy, just your gi. Okay. First choke, I have heard called a front choke, and I feel like that's the quickest way to say it. We're using our gi. It's like, 4 fingers inside instead of thumb inside. But front and reverse choke is just a nice quick way to say it. For a front choke, for a regular choke, it's the first one. It's plan A. I'm going to slide my hand in the collar behind my opponent's head at the neck. So I come right in here and I slide along behind. The most grabbing I'm going to do at this moment is like this. I'm not going to grab a handful of material, and I'm certainly not going to get to pulling my opponent down. Not unless I'm trying to create a response. But if all I'm doing is declaring I have your gi now, then now you just told them what you're doing. You're using their gi against them. They're going to start defending for chokes. If you just get a hold, just a little hold with just this, and your hand is open, I'm telling you it's going to be better for your hit rate on these chokes. Okay, so first hand goes in behind the neck, and if anything, like I said, I'm not probably pulling down. I'm probably pushing it off their neck so that they start to forget about my hand. The more tense I am, the more contact I have, the more I'm telegraphing what I do. If I put a hand in here nice and relaxed, and then I kind of do some other stuff, like they might forget that my hand is in the collar. A good guy won't, it's true, but either way, I'm not going to be grabbing and yanking. Hand goes in nice and light. Now, second hand's coming underneath the first. I think it's a very common problem in the beginning that people are trying to fish their hand in over the top, and they're not sure if it should be palm up or palm down. We're going to go palm up, so 4 fingers are going to go inside the collar, underneath the hand that I put in there first. So I have one hand in. Second hand comes in underneath. Now, just like a tip to get your hand in the gi, always true. So might have been true for your first hand, but definitely true for your second hand is this. If you can get your fingertips on the lapel anywhere, not all the way in, but if you can get them on the lapel, like over here, you can just slide in, okay? And it's like a train riding the rails. And so I'm going to use that terminology. So I'm going to make contact and then ride the rails up behind their neck. When I get back there, I'm going to have something like this, something like my hands, my fingertips touching each other. And what I'm going to do is not just go so deep, and we need depth, not just go so deep that they touch, but deeper than that. And that is, once they join forces, we're going to push the gi 2, 3, 4, however many inches off the back of the person's neck. So right now this is against their neck. I put this in, I slide this one in, and I'm going to punch it off the back of their neck. Okay? That's what the Wonder Twins do once they unite, is push this gi. Boom, boom, push it backwards. Now I can grab material. And my goal is going to be this. I'm going to grab it as my hands are. And because I created so much extra space behind the person's neck, I actually have room to turn them over. So if this makes sense, my palms are facing out to the sides when I grab. But I want my palms to face up as much as possible. Or you can think of it as, looking at your nails. If you were to look at your nails, you would have to turn your hand totally over. Okay, and that's a palm up situation. When I slide this in, and I slide this in, and we punch it off the back of the neck, and then I connect. My fists, my palms are still pointing sideways, and I want to turn them face up. You'll notice that this already closes that circle right there, and you will get people tapping just from you turning your wrists over. Once you're here, the movement is to rip the material behind their neck. You're not going to actually do that, but when you pull the material behind the neck, these 3 inches of material that show right here, when I pull that apart, it doesn't move. I do. It forces my wrist bones together, and that's what I want. But if you envision ripping this material, you're going to do a good thing for your choke here, which is bring your wrist bones together. Okay, so this is the front choke. One more time. Fingers in, not grabbing, not yanking. Second hand comes under and palm up, and I'm going to put my fingertips against the lapel and slide it in. As soon as my fingers touch, as soon as this gets back here, I'm going to punch it off the back of the neck, then grip it, then turn it, and then rip it. Okay? So I'm going to punch it, grip it, turn, and rip. Oh, does that rhyme? Do we have a new song? All right. I'm going to punch, grip, turn, rip. Okay. We're writing too many hits this week. Okay. So one hand is in. Second hand rides the rails and goes behind. Punch it, grip it, turn your palms to yourself, and then rip that material back there. And then what that's going to do is bring your wrist bones together. Okay. So let's do, 5 more reps together. Hopefully you have your gi and you're good to go on reps. First hand goes in, and I'm only gripping with this. My fingers are open. Second hand comes underneath. You can ride the rails. And as soon as your fingers touch, punch, grip. I don't turn anything when I grip. Punch, first grip, then turn, and then try to rip that material. Okay. So first hand, second hand slides in, punch, grip, turn, and rip. First hand, fingers in. Second hand, find the material here and ride the rails. Punch, grip, turn. Turning, my arms are straight. Turn and rip. Still my arms are straight. And if you need it now, you could pull them down to your chest. That is a nice finish for this move. But a great setup, you won't even need to. It'll be here. You'll be choking them right here. Things I did not do. I did not grab and pull down. That's a mistake. That tells them you're going to use their collars against them. Okay. The other thing I didn't do was use my elbows. I didn't grab with my palms still facing outwards and then try to make up for poor leverage with my elbows. That's a mistake. Okay. You want to do it just like we're doing it. So focus on how we're doing it. First hand, second hand rides the rails. punch it off the back of the neck, punch and grip, turn, my palms are facing myself, and rip. Okay, last one. First hand goes in, second hand rides the rails, punch, grip, turn, and rip the material behind their neck. The final movement, if you want, is to use your legs to pull them to your chest. It's just a little more helpless down there. Okay, and that is the front choke. From closed guard, this is a move, of course, that we can do from bottom of mount and other places as well. Okay. So front choke is one of the first chokes that we learn. It's also one of the first chokes because it's one of the first ones that we learn to defend. No one's ever letting their partner hit all their moves without at least wondering, how would I stop this? And I think that that's natural and is as it should be. So here's the defense you're going to run into. One way or the other. Come here, you. One way or the other. Person's going to stop you getting your second hand in. Because we can fight, and I'll get one of them in. Right, every time. But all it takes to entirely shut down the choke, since I can't choke a person with one hand, is to prevent my second hand from coming in. Okay? So we're talking now kind of about the birth of the reverse choke. I don't know if this is how it was born, but this is certainly true. When I have my first hand in the collar and the person is now worried about me putting my second hand underneath, they're going to probably block this space right here. They're going to get in a fight with me here. As I try to come in, they're going to catch my hand, they're going to block my hand. I can't come underneath because of a fight that they do, hand fighting, that they do and that they should do, right? If I can't get this in underneath, then I'll never get this, right? Sometimes people hunker down, so there's no space here, so it's hard to do that. Sometimes people hunker all the way down, right? And so it's like impossible to get into this space. Okay, so when we can't go under the first arm, we go over. And when we go over, again, we don't put 4 fingers in. You can see how awkward this is to do. That is not the most direct way to do this. The most direct way to put that second hand in, if you need to, when you go over, is put your thumb in. Okay? So there's a particular way I think that is a little bit easier to do this. A couple things that make it easier. One, their face and chin are here. It's not easy to just put this in. With no head here, it's like it's a breeze, right? But when someone's head is here and their chin is here, it's like, a little bit awkward to come just put it straight in. You're going to put your thumb in their mouth if there's actually a person here and you just go straight in. So we have to get around their head, which is awkward. So instead of trying to reach and bring my elbow away from my body in this way, which is always a weak way to move, I'm going to side bend. So I just side bend myself so I can see where I want to be. And now their chin is here, but I have a straight shot. I do have a straight shot now. And putting my thumb in, there's a wide way and a narrow way that I can go in. The wide way is obviously going to be harder than sneaking in the narrow way. Okay, so turn your palm to face the person like you want to slap their face with your palm. You turn this way, right? And then this goes in here. And again, I'm only really grabbing with this, and I'm going to punch. See, the rest is going to be the same. I'm going to punch some space. You can picture the space behind their neck where I'm pushing their collar, leaving that couple inches. Punch, grip, turn, and now I'm turning this way and rip. So punch, grip, turn, and rip, that's the same at the end of the reverse choke as it is in the front choke. Really, we just need to remember that our thumb goes in and we have to work our way around their head, which involves, turning your hand the narrow way, so turning your hand over, and side bending, so it's not so my elbow doesn't come so far away from my side as I try to do this. This is a problem, actually. Okay, first hand, now side bend, so I have a sight line, turn my hand sideways, so I go in the narrow way and shoot it in, and then it's going to be the same. Punch, grip, turn, and rip. And that's me moving my wrists is not what I'm intending when I do this. It's what happens. My intention is to rip that material, and I try to rip it, and what happens is only I move because the material is just too darn strong. Okay, so reverse choke is going to be, I can't get the first hand underneath it. They're blocking it. They're using probably this hand to block my hand coming in. So instead I side bend for a sight line, turn my hand over, and I shoot it straight in here. Boop. Now punch, grip, turn, and rip the material. As soon as this comes in, punch, grip, turn, and one of my hands is turning down, one's turning up. You know, it'll make sense the direction that you turn. You bring your elbows to your sides. If you bring your elbows to your sides, you will turn your hands the correct direction. Right? You can't, you know, if I turn the wrong direction here, my elbow opens up. We want our elbows closed. So can't get under. So I side bend and I come in the top. I come in here. Boop. Punch, grip, turn, and rip. Okay, this is just a motion that you'll need to get comfortable with if it's the first time you're seeing it. My hand is in. I can't come under. This triangle of space here, this space right here, is being blocked, either with their body or with their hand or something. Can't come under. So I side bend. I bring this in here, and now punch, grip, turn, and rip the material, and that's what I'm doing. And you can pull them down. That is the like sort of final defeating movement that finishes them. But it isn't the thing that chokes them. It just messes with their position, their body position, so it's harder to defend. First hand, second hand, no can do. So I side them, turn my palm over, so I go in the narrow way, right? Put my thumb in, now punch, grip, turn, and rip. The ripping allows my wrists to be pulled together like this. You can pull them down as well. We'll do one more reverse choke. So again, hand goes in. It's not reverse because it's the opposite of the front choke. It's just reverse because we've reversed it, flipped a couple of little details here, like not going under the arm, but going over, right? And my hand goes in upside down. Punch, grip, turn, rip. Rip that material these couple inches. Okay, and that's the reverse choke. Some people call that a thumb in choke, right? So we got 4 fingers in choke. That's one way to say it, and a thumb in choke. Front choke and reverse choke. Those are terms I'm going to use around school. I think they're a little bit quicker, and it's going to be nice and easy to remember. Okay. So I'm going to also show you one, just to put one in your repertoire, choke that is a little bit trickier. It has a setup. It's intended to sort of confuse your opponent, and it's a trap. And the one thing I like about jiu-jitsu, it's setting traps and letting people walk into them. I think it's the very coolest part of jiu-jitsu. I think that my teacher agrees. I think Pedro Sauer is also a trickster who lays traps that you just walk into, and you constantly feel like you tapped yourself out. And that's a good way to play, because it probably means you didn't force something. You didn't force them to go somewhere. You invited them, and they took the invitation, which is a very energy conservative way to play jiu-jitsu, which is to say probably the best way. Okay, so I've heard this called a lasso choke. It's the first thing I ever heard called a lasso choke in like 1998. And I remember how excited I was, because it was the first time that I was thinking 2 moves ahead instead of 1 move ahead. And it starts the same as a front choke. So this is a little bit deceptive. Starts the same as a front choke. Okay. Now, I need to create an intention in my opponent to pull away from me. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to pull them down. I'm going to use my grip with my hand, but also mostly with my legs to pull them down. And the second hand, I put the thumb in. You won't get any resistance here, because you can't choke anybody with 2 hands on one side of their neck. So I have 4 fingers in, and then I get the thumb in right next to it. So the head is here, and all my stuff is on one side of it. 4 fingers and the thumb. Okay. The thumb, you can go a little bit to the spine, like a little bit behind their neck. But again, everything enters on this side of their head. Here, and this comes in. And I'm going to use my legs mostly to pull them down. Okay. So if I ever want my opponent to go in a particular direction, the best plan is to pull or push them in the opposite direction. And usually you'll get compensatory reaction where they're going to, I say forward, they go back. I say sideways, they go the other side, right? So, and that's what we're doing here. One hand in, thumb in on the same side, maybe looped around the spine a little bit, maybe not just on my hand, but a little bit around. And then I pull them forward. Now, this is the reason I loop around behind. This will hold down their head a little better. And I'm trying to hold down their head and resist their sit-up. So resist for a moment, and then I'm going to side bend and open my elbow. So they couldn't get their head which is here, they couldn't get it out, and then I open a door. And now suddenly they realize that they can duck out and lift their head here. But when they do, they're already in a reverse choke. So that's the beauty of it. It's a little bit of a trap. Okay, so it's just a little setup on a gi choke. First hand goes in. Second hand goes in on the same side. Thumb goes in, not here, but thumb goes in just on the same side, which is also easier. You don't have to side bend. You don't have to go the narrow way. You can just put it there, right, behind the head. Now use your legs and pull them down and resist their attempts to sit up until you don't anymore, right? So I'm here. I'm going to side bend a little bit and open up a space. And they're going to feel what was once like blocked with your forearm is now only half blocked. This is the top of their head. This is your hand over the back of their head. When they feel it's only half blocked, the temptation is to duck out, okay? And we're going to take advantage of that. When I open this and they duck out to come out, they're putting themselves right in a reverse choke. So let's just do 3, 4 more for the practice. So one hand in, the other thumb in. And this thumb can like kind of go a little bit behind their head. You can use that and your legs to pull them down. And they try to sit up, you resist until you don't. You kind of open up to the side. Suddenly what was a total block for them sitting up is only a half block. And they can duck out. But when they duck out and sit up, they're immediately in a reverse choke. So which of the punch and grip and turn and rip is left when they duck their head out? Only when they duck out, only turn and rip. Only turning and rip. One hand in, thumb on the same side, but like maybe a little deeper, like around back of the head, because we're going to keep them down with our sort of snuff box of our thumb. So pull with your legs, keep them down. Side bend and open this sucker up, and then they can suddenly duck out. And if they do, they're walking right into a choke, the reverse choke. Okay. 1, 2, pull with your legs and pull them down. Side bend and open when you're ready. Wait until they're trying to get away. When they start trying to sit up, when they knock on the door, you open it. When they go through it, you choke them. Okay. That's the lasso choke. First kind of sneaky setup I ever learned for gi chokes, but a very effective way of tricking a person into walking into a thing they otherwise might know, which is a gi choke. We learned them early. Okay. Lastly, I'm going to talk today about something that I think derives directly from our collar chokes, and that is a scissor sweep. There is a no-gi scissor sweep, which is to say you don't need chokes to set up a scissor sweep. And there is, of course, we can set up scissor sweeps from any other number of positions. But I think one of the first places I learned scissor sweep and one of the first places that you'll be successful scissor sweeping is when you use it in combination with gi chokes. And it's because of one natural first movement that your opponent is gonna start to have when you attack collar chokes. So the natural movement I'm talking about that you'll take advantage of to hit a scissor sweep by your opponent is going to be this one here. If I put a hand in the collar, for reasons that I said before, me not being able to finish a choke with 2 hands, the opponent's going to start blocking my bicep. If he blocks my bicep, I'm no longer able to even get this second hand. I can't do a lasso choke. I can't trick them. I can't go over the top. I can't come underneath because they're blocking my bicep. And they're going to put weight on your bicep, and they should. This is just good jiu-jitsu. If you want to take away a person's choke options, you block their bicep. His elbow can follow me around as I try to come over the top, as I try to come underneath. And he does shut down collar chokes. Okay. But because of where his arm is, I have easy access. If his hand is blocking my bicep, which I'm doing with my buddy here, I'll have easy access to the material on the sleeve, right? And so I'm going to grab, a little harder with no arm in there, I'm going to grab a wrinkle. And the wrinkle I'm going to grab is perpendicular to the arm. Okay. So I'm not grabbing like this, which is a parallel wrinkle to the arm, but I like to grab a perpendicular wrinkle like this. Okay. And you'll be able to do that very easily at the elbow. Like I said, harder with no one in there. Okay, there we go. So I get this perpendicular wrinkle that I create, and they're still blocking my bicep. I still can't choke them, but I have them back. So any commitment they make to me can be an overcommitment if I can secure it. So I have secured their arm. So now their hand is sort of trapped against me. And if I close my elbow a little bit, they can't go over to base out on this direction, and they can't swing under if I close my elbow. So get your grip, close your elbow a little bit, and you've begun to set up the sweep because they can no longer use this arm to post in that direction. So that's the first thing I take away is the future defense to the sweep, which is posting. So I take that away first, okay? I got to now do this without the gi, without my buddy. Let's do it. Hand goes in. They block my elbow. They put my elbow on the floor with palm that should be a thumbless grip on my bicep. That's what they've done. And I'm going to grab their elbow if it's no gi. But for our purposes, we're talking about the collar choke. So I'm going to grab that wrinkle, perpendicular wrinkle right at the forearm. Okay. And then I'm going to do this. Extend my legs. Give myself a little room. Extend my legs. I never even have to open them. You can. But this is the way we're going to do it today. I'm going to put my hand in the collar, hold the elbow, extend my legs, never uncrossing them because I want you to have this skill. Lift my butt off the ground with my heel, come onto my shoulder tip, and elbow escape a little bit. My feet never uncrossed. I did all that with my feet still crossed. Okay? So hands in the collar. They pin my arm, so I grab their material here. Put my heels on the ground, and it's not going to be the ground when it's them. You're going to be putting your weight on their thighs because your legs are over their legs, right? You're going to be putting your weight on their thighs, but for our purposes, heel on the floor, butt up, come onto the shoulder tip, butt back, and now you can set up, now you can open and set up a scissor position. So the scissor position is going to be my knee is toward their chin, and the other one drops down outside their leg. So I've got on my side, and I set up the scissor position right here. I have the collar on the same side, and I'm as this leg is, collar on the same side. And now I'm going to do this. To finish a scissor sweep, I am not going to scissor my legs. So scissor sweep, it's like, you know how they say, love is a verb? Love is a noun, not a verb? I don't know. Forget that analogy. I'm not going to scissor sweep by scissoring my legs. Not this. That is not a scissor sweep. That's garbage. You're also not going to be able to do it to anybody of any size. Okay. Love is an act? What is it? Love is an act. Yeah, it's a verb, not a noun, right? Well, for scissor sweep, the scissor is a noun, not a verb. The scissor is the position. It's not an action we do. Okay, I'm going back to my analogy. I'll keep it. Love is a verb. All right. Anyway, to finish this movement, once I'm in this position, I'm going to bring my body over my elbow. What I want to do is arch my back, and that's going to steal their arm, which was, again, their post. And when I do that, they'll fall over, and then I'll just get on top. That's the most scissoring I do is my leg just kind of flops over. But instead of, this is like a new revelation even for me as to understanding why this works. I've been doing it this way forever, but instead of pulling my elbow by having my body behind it, because I'm going to go that way, instead of pulling my elbow by arching, I'm going to push my elbow by arching, by putting my body in front of my elbow. Now I push the elbow backwards with my torso. You want your torso over your elbow, one way or the other. That is what you want. And I've only recently realized that that's truly why it's so much more powerful. Okay. One hand in the collar, the other hand gets blocked. Hold the wrinkle in the forearm. Okay. Now, heels down, butt up, come onto one shoulder, and hip escape, and then set up your scissor shape. Scissor shape. Scissor is a noun. Okay. And now I don't arch from here. I don't arch and scissor my legs. That's bad. That's a bad scissor sweep, and it will not work on good guys or people with any base or large guys. What I want is to put my body over my arm and then arch and look over my shoulder, and it'll put me right on top. Okay. One hand goes in, the other hand holds the material at the forearm. Because they've pinned my arm, I can't choke them. So I get their arm back. I got you back. Okay. Feet down, butt up, hip escape, and scissor. Feet down, butt up, come onto my side, and then set up my scissor. Now put my body on the other side of my elbow. Body on the other side of my elbow. Look over my shoulder, and that'll put me on top. This is a good scissor sweep motion. Hand in the collar, hold the forearm material, straighten your legs. You know, you can open and put your feet on the ground and do this. It's not impossible to do. You don't challenge your opponent's base in any way when you do that. And when you put your weight on their legs and you do this, you sort of freeze them in place. You sort of give them a little maple syrup for one moment, so they have molasses. So they're stuck where they are while you make this switch. I just like it better. If you're here and you just open your legs, they can just push one down and start passing. Instead, you immobilize them a little bit by putting weight on them and then switching. So it's better in my mind. Okay. Now, body over the elbow. And now look over this shoulder. And my body moves my own elbow. Or pins my own elbow so they can't move it. And they can't get their arm back. Hand in the collar. This one gets pinned, so I grab them back. Get heavy with your legs, but up and out to the side, and then set up your scissor. And now, body over my arm. Very powerful. All that arching power in our back with our strongest muscles, just against really their arm, makes this happen. They were blocking my bicep, and when I get a hold of it, and they can't get their arm back, much less when I bring my body over it, and then I steal their arm, that's what makes the person fall, is the fact that I'm stealing their arm. It isn't because my legs are, so strong that they're scissoring the person over. You're stealing this arm. And don't forget, I have this knee in my chest. When you scissored, you put a knee in my chest. Put a knee in my chest that's very strong. There's no reason that it should have any give. And you steal the arm. I'm going to run into that knee. And I'm going to have no choice but to fall around it onto the floor as the top guy. So anyway, last two. Hand in the collar. They pin. I grab their arm back. Heavy legs to set up my scissor position. Now I bring my body over my elbow. And I look over my shoulder for that sweep. And the collar, they pin my arm. I grab their arm back. Heavy legs, hips up. Set it up here. Bring your body over your arm. And steal it right there. All right. So hopefully you see why I include the scissor sweep with this stuff. Scissor sweep is set up in part by the fact that they're blocking my bicep. And that's a common behavior for the top person. Top person, you put a hand in the collar, boop, they block the other hand. Okay, now there's no choke. And they go about passing however they pass. But as soon as they put their hand on your bicep to stop chokes, which is good jiu-jitsu and should be the thing that they do when you start setting up your choke, if they don't, choke them. If they do, block your bicep, which is the sole defense to really shut that down. Grab their arm back. You can do it no-gi too. You can grab their elbow like a ball. But for our purposes, having set up the whole thing with a hand in the collar, plan on holding their gi material on their arm. And then the scissor sweep is fantastic. That little detail about bringing your body over your elbow is going to really help you finish them. And just knowing that it's not called a scissor sweep because of the verb of scissoring. You're not going to be scissoring your legs. Scissor is just the shape. It's just the name of the shape you put your body in. I think it's a better way to think of this sweep if you want a high percentage, hit rate on it. Okay, that's all I have for today. So having covered gi chokes and scissor sweep, we've now done two of the three move chains: Kimura, bump sweep, and guillotine, and armbar, omoplata, and triangle. Super fundamental. I mean, that's 6 moves. So in a way, this is a lot this week. But in a way, it's like 2 little chains that we have, or 2 webs of moves. I prefer that term, actually. And then we have this third sort of chapter that we've done today on collar chokes and scissor sweep, which is sort of begotten by the collar grips, and they're blocking your arm. It's been a good week. I appreciate you guys tuning in and checking out all the bottom of guard stuff. Next week, we're going to be doing bottom of mount, and that begins Monday with a brain dump in which I'll talk I've actually already shot it and edited it. It'll come out on Monday, and we're focusing next week on some of the most fundamental stuff you can do in the bottom of mount. And bottom of mount is not a lengthy topic. There's trap and roll and elbow escape, but those are because those are the only two moves, or just about the only two moves that we do, and there's like only a few entries to either. It's deep, man. If you told someone they were going to practice for 20 years and have two moves from one of these positions, it would go deep, right? So each of these positions do go deep, and I'm going to go real deep on one of them, and that starts Monday. Anyway, have a good rest of your weekend, guys. It was good to see everyone. Thanks for tuning in, for those of you who tuned in live, and thanks for tuning in, those of you who are watching it back, and we will see you guys real soon. Take care.